And we continue learning Dirshu Mishnah Berurah Elchas Netilas Yadaim is Siman Kof Samoch. Continuing to learn the different psulim of the water of a Netilas Yadaim, and we pick it up from Sif Yud Aleph. Teaches the Mechaber Mayim Sheyesh Loi, water that there is to it Safek. We have a doubt about this water. We learned in the previous shiurim that one of the psulim of waters for Netilas Yadayim, perhaps a bit of an unknown halacha, is that the water cannot have work done with it. But what if we have water that we're unsure if work was done with it? Or let's say we're not sure if we have the requisite quantity of water. Or we don't know if the water is tamei. Or one is not sure if he did Netilas Yadayim. In all of these cases, tahar, chol safek tahira biyadayim tahar. So the Shita Rishayna says tahar. Continues the Machaber and teaches yesh mishaymer. There is an opinion that says the opinion of the Ravid. Shal kol zayis yesh leimayim achira mita yadav yitzi atzam min asafek. If you have other waters, wash again and remove yourself from the safek. Says Rama mishlo notav yadav v'naga b'mayim. If you did not wash your hands yet, your hands are tamei, and you touch the water, loy nifsul asan mayim, the netila does not pass all those water for netilas yadayim, but loy mikri mayim temeim. Aval, however, asar lirchat yadav mimayim sharatovem chaviru kvar. You cannot wash your hands with water that your friend used for netilas yadayim. So let's see the Mishnah Berurah over here, as he explains this halacha of safek, etc. Says the Mishnah Berurah, safek im naseh bahem malacha. You're not sure if work was done. Says Mishnah Berurah, sifkatan memvav, hainu bein shenistabik achar netila, whether you're nistabik after you wash your hands, or yafilu kaidem. Before we turn over the page, the Shartzian over here points out, Dirak ben nistabik im yishem kishir kos v'achar net asal lechatchila. Only if you're not sure about the shir, you say it's also chatchil, savich chasar niyadiyah, which is a different type of suffix. This Shartzian really opens up a big can of worms as to teach us that there are different types of sveikais in halacha. There's a suffix that you're just not sure. You're not sure, for example, you don't know, did this water have work done? And that's a type of suffix that you don't know, and probably maybe even no one can know, because we have water sitting here and no one knows what happened with this water. But then there's another type of suffix the Shartzian is pointing out, that if I'm not sure the quantity of the water, that's suffix chasar nidiyah, just lacking in knowledge. Get a measuring cup and figure it out. That's a lower level of suffix. But now, dealing with the suffix at hand, suffix that we're not sure if the water work was done with the water or not, says the Mishnah Berurah, we're in the middle of a Mishnah Berurah Netila. What is halacha? You're allowed to wash your hands with them if we have no other water. And again, this is really where the Shartzian just pointed out that we're dealing with the din lechatchila, meaning beforehand. Someone calls up the Rav and says, I have a cup of water here, and I don't know whether this water work was done. I don't know if it was used to cool off a bottle of wine. I'm not sure. What's the halacha? According to the Shita Rishayna, it's allowed to be used if you have no other waters. You don't know if there's the requisite quantity of water. On this case, says Mishnah Berurah, Davkam nistapek la'achar shenatal yadav. It's only if we're not sure after he already washed his hands. Aval mikaydem lai, but prior to him washing his hands, lai, you would not be allowed to do this. Demasheni yodei levarim yishba kishir einoi chashav safek. This really speaks out what we just spoke out in the Shartzian. That which you don't know the quantity, that is not called a safek. That's the reason why lechatchilo, before you wash with such waters, you would not be allowed to. Continues Mishnah Berurah, this is a loaded Mishnah Berurah. The safek b'machleikes hapaiskim. If we have a safek in something which is a debate amongst the paiskim, areyu kishar safek. That's a real safek. Why? The kivin shlayachriya ba ariu safik b'milsa derabanan v'naktinan lahakil. Then it's a safik derabanan that one can be makel on. Tameim ma'itayim sefkatan memchas pirish shemayim psulam akshemin off the water is kashel until chulin ina mayim till until chulin ina mayim nifsala machmas tamalsan kvan seven kupnan test if you're alf tar sefkatan memtas vatam. Since the whole reason you have to wash your hands, the din derabanan, as we've mentioned many times, patterned after Sirach Truma, patterned after the Koyanim, therefore, patterned after to make sure that at time of Beis HaMikdash B'siyat Shema, the Koyanim will remember to wash their hands. Lo yachmiru b'sveika, v'afilu haya kol ha'sveikas yachad ksherim. B'chol safei tar sefkata non kigoin. You're not sure if it's a full kli. That's the shita rishayna in the mechaber. But then the mechaber continues with the shita shniya as Mishmur explains. If katan on alav ish mishaymer al kol asiv kai batam kimush av shalatzis bekal midei sveika. This is a general rule in many sveikas that any time with ease you could get out of it. It's always better to get out of it. So the shita yesh mishaymer says. The shita of the Ravid, that if you could get out of it, why are you being semech on a safek? It's true. Safek derabanan lekula. But says the shita of Yesh B'Shaimer that if you could get out of it, that's always the preferable route. That's what the Mishnah Berurah says. Since it's avshalas, it's bekal midi sfeik. Now that word bekal is a big word. What exactly does it mean bekal? But when it's with ease, then that is your obligation. The reminds us of that which we've learned already, that the lack of washing Netilas Yadaim could bring to poverty, Rahman al-Islan, and therefore, such a scenario, you should go search after the water. You know you washed your hands. And then there's a suffix that happened afterwards. You're not sure. Did you start thinking about other things? Maybe your hand touched somewhere. You know you didn't think about other things. Your hand was close to a dirty place. And therefore, if a suffix, you're unsure. You're not sure. Did he touch a covered area or not? Then you do not have to rewash your hands. The Mishnah Berurah pulls out a chazaka to raise the stakes over here. That this halacha by us is when we have a suffix, but that's only a suffix, and my hands are tameh. We're not washed. So now, if I have a suffix, what to do? Suffix derabanan lahakel, but lechatchila, it's better to get out of that suffix. But says the Mishnah Berurah, if I know I wash my hands, I know my hands were tar, and then I have a suffix after that, now I have a suffix, wait, maybe I touched somewhere, maybe I did something. On that, then we go with the chazaka. Sivkatun and dalil nefsu come up beis benachtan like the baker. Rafakav denot yadav acher v'shiv shva b'chaverta nitmu mayim shal yadai. Excuse me, if you washed one hand and then you touched the other hand, it does mess up your Netilas Yadaim. Important halach that we're going to get to. You wash one hand, then you touch your other hand. The other hand was tamei, so it made that end tamei, and it messes up. But mayim shebekli, we're learning over here the water in the kli lo nitim b'negias bahem doesn't become tamei by touching it. And therefore, ayitu b'sakisei uba lital yad. If you come out of the bathroom and you want to wash your hands, yachol lishav b'chafna minatali v'lishach hamayim lachot v'hamayim anoyisarim b'tali lo nitim b'negias bahem uksherim Netilas Yadaim b'suda. You could stick your hand in and take out the water and use it to wash your hands, and the remaining water doesn't become Pasul, the fact that you stuck your hand in it, it still could be used afterwards for Netilas Yadaim. But let's say you put your hand in the dali and you moved your hand around the taron in order to make your hands tar. Then it's called that the water in the kli did work, and then it's possible in the tila. Even if your hands weren't dirty. You had to clean your hands. Nasa mayim k'shayivcha, and then by sticking your hands in, moving them around, cleaning the hands with the water, that is considered that work was done, therefore it will be possible. But again, if you scoop out the water and use it to pour on your hands, then it would be okay. Because it's possible. Before we go on to Sif Yud Beis, let's just go over here to see the Dirshu. The Dirshu points out that, let's go one more up over here, when the Mishnah Berurah taught us that you're allowed to use it if you don't have any other waters. Says the Chazon Ish, we're in Dirshu number 47, that water that is kosher me'ikara, and then there's a suffix afterwards. For example, water, you're not sure, or if it has some sort of psul, since the water is a cheskes kashros, therefore you can even use a lechatchila to make a bracha on it. But only by other sveikas, when the water doesn't have a cheskes kashros, that's where this halacha by us applies. But if you knew it had a cheskes kashros, then the latter part of the tip would apply, that we would go with the chazaka. Now the Shartzian taught us this important rule. The Shartzian taught us that davar sheyesh matirim, says the Shartzian, davar sheyesh matirim, you could be incorrect. Says this, davar sheyesh matirim kishu suffik. Which Shartzian is this? Sifkat and Memtas. We didn't see the Shartzian. This is a different detail, an important detail. That any time davar sheyesh matirim is another way out, that's where you're supposed to go with that way out. Says the Chazon Ish, which Rua says, if you wash your hands with water that you're mistapik if you wash your hands with, then what? You should rewash it because of davar sheyesh matirim. Says the Chazon Ish, what's the Shartzian explaining? Shartzian is explaining that which you should be machor the chatchila davar sheyesh matirim is, even after you wash your hands, you should still go look for new waters. Davar sheyesh matirim is the concept. There's a way to get out of it. There's a way to make it mutter. So therefore, because of al-zeh shadaita shein zer lachzor v'lital shenis. Shein is that term the kol suffix sheyesh matirim shasa ad sheyitar hasafik. Kimin shem mishnah shleima sheni nishas suffik yadayim tahar. Siyem she'af l'dei machmim shochnor sheni ish l'mayim achrim yital behem es yadav. So the Chazon Ish is raising the stakes, saying if you already washed with it, it will be a lower level. And we continue with another lots of Chazon Ishes over here that the Dirshu is quoting, that what happens if you already washed your hands, then you have a chazaka on your hands. On that, the Chazon Ish in Dirshu number 49 points out, this is going in the fact that we said that not knowing the quantity of the water is called a suffix shaita, a suffix chasar niyadir, because just go measure it. Told me if you're able to measure it. If you're not able to, points out the Chazon Ish, then it's not something you could be mevayer. You don't have to go so far. You don't have to go so far. Now, there's number 51. It's, the Mishnah Berurah taught us when your efshel lotzis from the suffix bikal, mished mistabik im shad kia shayfer. Let's say you're not sure you heard shayfer, or you're not sure you took lulav on the second day of Sukkot, which is in the Rabban. Says the Shulchan Aruch later on in Tov Kuf Pei Hey, you do not have to hear it again because suffix the Rabbanan lekula, and over there we don't say that it's efshel bikal, and the simple reason it doesn't, and even more so, the Sefer Machne Yisrael doesn't even bring this Yish Misha Omer with regard to Netilas Yadaim. So Dirshu is pointing out that even though we said Bikal, if it's Efshar to do it, it's better, but it seems like you don't have to go that far to be Yaitse, this other Shita. Let's begin Sif Yud Beis. Hasheleg va'aberet, snow and hail, va'kfar and ice, va'glid, pirish ma'im and ikfar, miroi va'kar, water that congeals due to it's very cold, va'melech, salt, imriska nachinasa mayim, you crush it up until it becomes water, noilibem v'tayivlim bem es, yesh, im yesh bem kishir. Good for Netilas Yadaim, good for Tvilas Yadaim if you have the requisite shear, ein yeradeyas, and rish al-saf lamed. Yesh b'shayim, shein Netilas Yadaim, rishonim, ela b'mayim b'lvad, and some argue that no, you can't use snow. Some even use wine. Whether you to put water in it, whether or not, and and this part about the yayin we're going to leave for the next year. But let's just begin as we wrap up today's shir, let's just learn about the snow, the ice, if cotton involved in the mishpur bakfar gisham shenikfu b'ridasan who came borrowed. It's a type of hail. Va'amelach sevgot nun zayin lavachol gamni mutter b'melach. Dilanatila b'kli al yadav. Even salty water, we said, is going to be possible. So how can you use salt itself? Because it's kosher for tefillah mikol memnei dechol elu shnuyim yachal in mikvah kolon gam kein after in shavim medina gam. We put them all together. It's not really true. The salt can't really be used for Netilas Yadaim and riskan v'chulu. Sivkatan and ches aval b'lavach inu lemekli aval. Litval hayodayim betoichel, dip your hands inside of him. Yisham kisher mikvah motor b'shas hatzachak kishin lamayim af loy riskan. Rafilo mein hasheleg muchanas harbei v'asach. The snow is not all in one place. Almunach alpanei art v'namoch harbei. It's very shallow. If kochish b'hem arba sam mechubar yachad toivlim bois. That's an interesting halacha. Perhaps you have an inch or two of snow on the ground that it's all connected, and you need to wash your hands. If you have no other way to do it, you could stick your hands inside of it. Near the sarach shial kopanim k'dei lachas yadam makom shetoich. That's be enough to cover your hands. So I guess 2 inches of snow, you stick your hands inside. That would work. Yesh mi sharmis if katan untas lo kayarish asif. Tani have b'chal mayim lafukim meperes l'vad kotzi dein chashuv mayim v'koch kinyayin deloy v'tam den Netilas Yadaim samchu al krat v'yadav lo shadav mayim l'chein sarach mayim dafka. And we'll pick up and we'll learn about the wine in the next year. Before we call it a day, let's just go over here to Dirshu number 57, 56 and 57. Teach us the makar for this halacha for the snow is in the Beis Yevis and Reish Aleph. The reason why you can use snow rak b'shat adchak is because it's machlekes hapaiskim. If min hatayra if shalitol b'shalek shalo yovshar, it's a machlekes if snow that did not melt is a kosher midaraisa. The Rama brings machlekes sima Beis Yosef over there in Siman Reish Aleph in Yerodea. Shavu v'sheneres be'inav divrei matirim. Beis Yosef wants to be mekel ein lahakalas is ma'aseh b'isad daraisa negedas machmirim, but with regard to dipping your hands in snow and for bread, therefore we're going to be mekel. We'll just point out, let's say by Tevilas Kalim, it's going to be a similar halacha that b'shas adchak, we know the choice. By Corona, this was an option that people had. You could put the keli in the snow, but it has to be that the keli goes all, every part of the keli. And the Chazon Ish actually explains that one of the issues with the keli is that it might not actually go in and touch every part of it. Siyata Deshmaya will continue Sif Yebeis about washing your hands with wine in the next Shir Emirza Hashem.